Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Infinity Well. I am Larry Stahl. Wanted to, in the Avengers week, it's not really Avengers related, but it is, in a way, because really the goal of Avengers week was to talk about the Marvel Cinematic Universe. And in this episode, I sort of wanted to talk about now that Disney has acquired Fox and we have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Deadpool. Who are what are we gonna see them do with these characters? I'm honestly super excited to see those sort of things, but we have got about 5 minutes until the actual episode starts. So real quick, I would just like to say if you leave a comment on any of the videos in the Avengers Week playlist that I have going on right now. Essentially, if you leave a comment on any of those videos guessing how Endgame will end, I will be sure to look through and see who all guessed correctly. And whoever got to me first on guessing it correctly or got the closest to being correct, you will win a free Marvel Digital Comics code for Avengers No Road Home #1. I'm really excited to see what some of you guys come up with and to see what ends up actually being true, because I would absolutely love that. On top of that, I would also like to plug a favorite Facebook page of mine known as I Freaking Love Marvel Comics. A bunch of great people over there. If you're a really big Marvel fan like I am, or you're just a fan who's trying to get into more of the comics side of things, they will of course be able to help you definitely with those types of things. On top of that, remember to stay tuned for Sunday through Thursday, where I will be doing my Avengers Week videos on each of the individual Avengers members, except for Thursday, which will be both Black Widow and Hawkeye, sort of talking about their comic book origins. Honestly, I think they were good to put together in a video because they both kind of come from the same background. And I think it would be really cool to kind of do those two characters together. So, yeah, we've got that coming up. And then on Friday, when I get back from seeing Endgame, it will be a later episode. But I will definitely be talking about, what exactly is going on in the MCU, with Endgame and after Endgame and so on. Scottish Spinneret says the MCU loves to do their own things with the characters and take inspiration from Ultimate Comics as a template. I heard Fantastic Four would be based on Fantastic Four origin-wise. I would actually absolutely love that. I actually really like the ultimate influence that they do put inside of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. For example, like one of the things that made me really happy, and it was kind of a design choice that I'm sure not a lot of people lost their shit about, but like if you remember in Spider-Man Homecoming, the way that Iron Man's suit looked, it looked almost exactly like the Ultimate Comics. Like it didn't have like the helmet shape or like the bulkier size, but it had sort of like the same paint scheme, and like that made me really happy. It was just a kind of a low-key thing that I could really appreciate. But yeah, I totally agree. If they were to use the Ultimate Comics origin, and I'm really worried about whether they're actually going to use that or not. Like, I would love to see it, but Fanforstic, or the 2015 Fantastic Four movie by Josh Trank, as some people like to call it, they already kind of did that origin. So I don't know if we're exactly going to get that, or what all is going on there. But yeah, I would absolutely love to see that happen because I'm a huge fan of Fantastic Four and especially the Ultimate books. And if they were to like follow through with that entirely and then like make Reed Richards a villain and then do Secret Wars, like I would love it. Would absolutely love it. So Scottish Spinneret, thank you for commenting that. That was actually a really good point. And also Scottish Spinneret, I think the last time I actually saw you show up on one of these live streams was way back when I did my first one for the channel. And so remember, I don't know if you know this is going on exactly, but we do have a free digital comics code giveaway if you can correctly guess, or at least get the closest to correctly guessing how Endgame is going to end. Anybody who leaves a comment like that, you will win a free digital Marvel Comics code for Avengers No Road Home #1. I am very excited to get some people reading this because right now in the books, Marvel is killing it, and this would be a good Avengers series for some of you to read. But anyways, yeah, so it is 5 o'clock, and we could get going on the actual show. So we have the X-Men and the Fantastic Four. I never thought that's something we would ever see. As a matter of fact, I remember back in 2014, there was a big post that was made about it as an April Fool's Day joke, because it just seems so impossible and so far away. But now we are to the point where we can see that. You know, we can see Avengers versus X-Men. We can see Fantastic Four like fighting like the Mole Man and Annihilus. Like, it's like one of the coolest things ever because, you know, I'm not exactly sure how Endgame is going to end, and quite frankly, in some previous videos, I had always speculated that Iron Man might end up dying. But if that doesn't end up being the case, like, I can't wait to see Tony Stark and Reed Richards in the same room. You know, like, just seeing like the greatest minds of the Marvel Universe brought together. That would be something like really cool. That's just kind of like a just like a geeky little like fantasy that I always had, because like, again, like I said, it just seemed like such an impossible task. It seems so far away. You know, it didn't ever really seem like that was something possible, and now it is. Or like now we can see Spider-Man and Wolverine together. You know, whoever they end up casting as Wolverine, which we can get into casting later. But a story that I think is very well deserved to be adapted in these movies is the Russo brothers have been talking about it as well as coming back for, and that would be Secret Wars. I would absolutely love to see Secret Wars brought to the big screen. Like, that's kind of like a dream of mine, especially the Jonathan Hickman Secret Wars. But if they took elements of both and like crammed it together, I would have like no qualms with that. Just kind of like being able to like read this story like back when, you know, if you ever have the trade and you're just flipping through it, at any page in the book there are just so many characters like going, just like, it's like a dream come true, you know, getting to see the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, the Avengers, Spider-Man, and everybody. We have another comment over here from Scottish Spinneray. He says the X-Men with hold on, I'm trying to gear this together in my head. The X-Men will take ultimate inspiration of mutants origin wise, having Wolverine be the first mutant, and mutant gene being a virus finally evolving to humans after the snap. I would absolutely love that. Another idea that I always kind of rattled around in my head was kind of like, what if this, like, if the snap is undone and everybody comes back? You know, everybody comes back, and then all of a sudden the population, like the half of the population that came back, suddenly had unexplainable powers. That would actually be something really cool as well. Like, I would love to see like that sort of like take where it's like, because if you guys remember, in the comic books, like the mutants just kind of started showing up more and more and more until finally, you know, like they just became the norm. People didn't like it, but they were a norm. You know, you had to worry about whether the dude sitting beside you was like an evil mutant or not. And I always liked that idea. And so it would be really cool if like all the people that came back from the snap suddenly had like individual mutant powers. You know, like that's really something that I would like to see in the MCU. But if they were to take that ultimate inspiration, or like the origin of like Wolverine was the first mutant and it just spread, Like I would be a-okay with that too, because then that would also mean that Wolverine has a very important part to play in the MCU, and so he is almost like the ultimate mutant representation, especially if he were to join the Avengers. He would be like the ultimate like mutant representation in that. Yep, I am the first mutant. I don't know exactly how far they would end up going with that. Would they have Nick Fury in there and kind of do the thing where Nick Fury knows that they were genetic experiments? I don't know. But it would just be something really cool. And I don't even think that's something that they would immediately explore. Like, that would have to be something like brought up in like a sequel or like the third one. Because the MCU knows how to adapt stories, good or bad. And so, like, what if they found a way to do a really cool version of Ultimatum? You know, like, it sounds silly because Ultimatum is such a bad story, but I would love to see something like that. And just like the whole implication of the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and Deadpool, maybe not Deadpool, we're not quite sure what his deal is just yet. Like, we know Ryan Reynolds isn't going to be taken away from the role, and we also know it's going to stay rated R. But I just don't know. I just don't know exactly what they're doing with him. But when it comes to the other two teams, I can definitely see something big happening. I don't know when it'll happen, because supposedly we're waiting out on using any of those characters for a few years, or at least that's what Kevin Feige said. Um, Marvel is known to lie to its fans and users, though. So who truly knows? It might be up in the air. Like, we're just gonna have to see. Um, like, okay, if I were to, if Scottish Spinneret is still watching, if I were to ask, what is like one comic book moment that we've never gotten to see because we don't have these characters? Like, we've never gotten to see it in any of the OG X-Men or like OG Fantastic Four. Like, what is a moment that you would like to see personally that the MCU would probably use in a film? Because I would absolutely love to see, like, and it sounds really dumb, but I would love to see like a proper fastball special from the X-Men. Like, I would love to see like whoever they get to play Wolverine, and honestly I think it should be Aaron Edgerton. But if we saw like Colossus do fastball special with Wolverine, like at Galactus or something, like that would blow my damn mind. I would absolutely love that. Um, Another really cool moment to see would be just like not even really a moment, but just kind of like a character thing with like the Fantastic Four just traveling through space and exploring. That's something that I personally think would be really cool. I don't know if we would ever get to see that, but then again, it's also like uncharted territory that hasn't been touched by any of the previous movies, and so I know Marvel will try to jump on that, because like when Marvel got the rights back to Spider-Man and they were able to do his own thing, like there was like an expectation set for how Spider-Man should be, and so they kind of had to follow that, but they also had to do something different to differentiate themselves, but something that felt at least true to the spirit of the books. Scottish Bennett over here says Hulk versus Wolverine. Yes, I would love to see that. Um, I don't even know what kind of context you'd have to put the characters into to be able to see that, but I would love it. Just like Savage Hulk versus Wolverine, like, it actually wouldn't be a bad idea. Okay, like, hear me out. The first time we see any mutants in the MCU, it's Wolverine, because we're literally just doing like a full film adaptation of that Hulk versus Wolverine animated movie, and it just takes place in the greater Marvel universe. And like, you have like Deadpool and Omega Red and all of them. You just set up a bunch of mutants right away. And then like sort of do this thing where like Wolverine is a shield agent, and then like he was part of Department H, but he also works for Shield. And so Shield is like, hey, we are going to need you to go back to Department H to look into something for us. There's a big monster running around and like trying to hurt a lot of people up in the Canadian wilderness. Just something like that. And then that's how you get that movie set up. Scottish Bennett comments, Fantastic Four fighting Spider-Man like Amazing Spider-Man issue 1 of the comic because he wants to be a part of the group. Okay. Here's where that kind of gets muddy. I would love to see that. Like, I would love to see Spider-Man and Johnny Storm, like, go at it. Like, don't get me wrong. But the reason why I don't necessarily think that they would do that is because we already kind of saw that with Civil War. Spider-Man wanted to be an Avenger, and so he goes to Tony Stark to go beat up other Avengers. That he can kind of like prove himself, and then that ends up becoming the whole arc of a Spider-Man Homecoming, which I liked. Don't get me wrong, I absolutely love that movie, but him fighting the Fantastic Four, like, I just feel like that would be like a little redundant. Like, you would need to do a thing where it's like it's the chameleon. Okay, think of it like this: like the chameleon goes off and does something in Spider-Man's name, and then Spider-Man's out and about one day, swinging around, and all of a sudden, here comes the Fantastic Four, and they think that Peter is the one who did all the bad things, and they don't realize it's the chameleon. And so then there's like a big fight. Like, I can see that part happening. Like, that would actually be really dope. So, like, it is a good idea to kind of have like a Spider-Man Fantastic Four fight as like a callback to Stan Lee and Steve Ditko's Spider-Man #1. But we would really just have to see like exactly how they bring in the Fantastic Four. Like, I don't think if we're gonna do this whole like Spider-Man teams up with somebody every movie thing, like the first movie was Iron Man, second movie's Nick Fury. If the third movie they were like, fuck it, Fantastic Four, I'd take it. Like it's very fitting to introduce the Fantastic Four with Spider-Man, I think. Especially if like you were to do a thing where like, oh, new kid in school, Johnny Storm. And like you get like Cole Sprouse to play him, because him and Tom Holland would look very similar in age. And then you can kind of like do this thing where it's like Johnny Storm like looks up to Spider-Man in a way, and he he looks up into Spider-Man in a way, but like Johnny Storm is like publicly a member of the Fantastic Four, like he's all about it, and like Peter thinks he's kind of a dickbag. Like it's almost like if Flash got superpowers, can kind of be a joke in there, because if we keep these going, we can do that with Agent Venom. So like something like that would be really cool, where you could have Johnny Storm and Spider-Man go to the same school together, and then through that, he meets the Fantastic Four and just do like, or like the Sinister Six, because like Spider-Man and the Fantastic Four versus the Sinister Six, like who wouldn't pay money to see that? Like, and I don't know what the MCU is doing exactly with the Sinister Six, because right now, the only like confirmed villains that could potentially show up on a Sinister Six is Scorpion if he ends up getting the mech suit. You have the Vulture, you have Shocker, and then now we know we got Mysterio. And then from certain toy leaks, we figured out that the elemental villains in Spider-Man Far From Home are Hydro Man and Molten Man, which me personally, like kind of speculating on that a little bit, I do not think that those are. I don't think that any of those characters are like real. Like, I feel like Mysterio is creating them, or like it would be cool if like he's creating the elemental characters except for Hydro Man. Because like if you were to like try to do like a straight up comic book adaptation of the Molten Man, you would have to do this thing where like he's related to Liz Allen, and like that just wouldn't work, and it would feel like really redundant. But then again, supposedly Michael Keaton is in Far From Home as well. So like maybe we could do a thing where it's like, oh, that's my other son, and like I don't know. I don't know. We would really just have to see how they integrate the Fantastic Four. Now, that X-Men idea, I can absolutely see. You can just say, like, well, ever since the snap happened and everybody came back, things got weird or something. Like, I don't know. I'm not writing for Marvel Studios. I can't guess this correctly. But that would be really cool. Just something along the lines of that. Like, I would absolutely take it. Also, we have to kind of think. Can't forget about the Merc with a Mouth Deadpool. What do you do with Deadpool? I feel like that's a really good question that not. I mean, like, I know a lot of people are asking it, but not a lot of people are like thinking too deep into it and how like the politics of like the primarily PG-13 Disney would, because like they've never done rated R. I don't think Disney has ever released a rated R movie, and so like I bet you the Deadpool movies would have to be released under a completely different banner. Like Kevin Feige can say yes, it's part of the MCU, but Disney has to say like, well, it's not technically us. It's released under this different studio house, or they would have to come up with some sort of reason that if people get upset that Disney released an R-rated movie, like they have to be able to like take the fall, pretty much. Like they have to find somebody to take the fall that's not them. Scottish Spinneret has commented. He says MCU Spider-Man 3 film have Fantastic Four and X-Men characters like Johnny Storm, Kitty Pryde, Iceman, Firestorm at school being a homepage to Bendis post-Ultimatum comics. Yes. Ultimate Spider-Man is my favorite comic book series of all time. I can definitely like say favorite comic book series of all time. I want to see that friendship of like all of these mutant kids and Peter. And then like you could kind of like have Ned be the replacement for Kenny Kong, where like Ned ends up dating like Kitty Pryde. Like something like that. Like that'd be really cool. And like I would love that. I would love that so much. Like I feel like that is a very Marvel move. Especially because like Marvel has really been pushing like Spider-Man having like a fun-loving cast of friends. Like really been pushing it. Like for example, they've really been pushing like, hey, here's Peter Parker and then here's Spider-Gwen and Miles Morales. Like even like in the IDW licensed comic books that they're doing, even in what was it, the Spider-Man 2017 cartoon that came out that was like supposed to be all about like it was supposed to promote Spider-Man Homecoming and then it failed miserably with like I don't know, there's a lot of things about that show that I did not like. But like they've really been pushing that Spider-Man's got this cast of superpowered fun-loving characters that are always by his side. And so that way Marvel Studios doesn't step on Sony's toes and like rip Spider-Man away from them forever. I feel like it would be a good move for like, hey, here's Spider-Man and Kitty Pryde and Johnny Storm and Iceman, Firestorm. Like if Liz Allen came back as Firestorm or Firestar. Sorry, not Firestorm, Firestar. Hell yeah. Hell yes. Because then she could like understand Peter and like why he left her on Homecoming that night and her world went to shit that night because of Spider-Man. And then like that can also kind of be like the root of like where Liz Allen's hatred of superpowers comes from. Because like what if she realizes that like Spider-Man ruined my life that night because Peter Parker is Spider-Man and he left me at Homecoming by myself to go be Spider-Man. And then Spider-Man like had my dad thrown in prison and like she holds up all his hatred. And then she gets superpowers of her own and then through Peter trying to teach her how to use them, like finally understands. like why Peter had to go and do that thing, I would absolutely love that. I feel like that would be like a really kosher move on Marvel Studios' part. Because you could introduce both the X-Men and the Fantastic Four in this. Like, what if Spider-Man Far From Home has mutants in it? Like, there's like this new cast member that's part of like the Friend Crew. He's there at the end of the trailer that they released. Like what if they're just like low key like this is Bobby Drake? Nobody mentions that he's a mutant because they legally can't at the making of that movie. But if they're like, yep, that's Bobby, that'd be dope. Like, give me that. Or like, what if that's Johnny Storm? Like that'd be super cool. Like, I would love to see that. Anyways, getting back to the Deadpool thing, because I feel that Deadpool is something that really kind of needs to be like talked over. Like, we know what's happening, but we don't know exactly how it's happening. What I would really like to see is that Deadpool has his own R-rated movies, and he's allowed to say, do, kill, fuck, whatever he wants. And in the PG-13 movies, we do what we did with Once Upon a Deadpool when they released that, and every time he cusses and it's really harsh, he bleeps himself. And then you can kind of do like that Scott Pilgrim versus the World thing where people are like, how are you making that noise with your mouth? Because it's not a button anymore. It's like the noise comes out of his mouth. And he's like, I don't know, the mouse made me do it. Scott Spinner says Deadpool will be under Marvel Knights banner, but Kevin Feige wants to have control over the connections and universe as a whole. That's why most of the stuff not under his eye, such as Marvel TV shows. Okay, so you think that Deadpool will almost be treated as like the Marvel television thing, like it's connected, but not really. Like I can definitely see something like that happening, where it's like Deadpool's just off in his own little corner, doing his own thing. Like I can really get behind that. Like that actually works out pretty well, because like then you could get away with him being more brutal. Like it would really upset me if we would never get to see him in some sort of like crossover movie. Like I also thought that it would also make a lot of sense for him to be in like a third Spider-Man movie, but who even knows at this point? Like it's really just a matter of us sitting back and waiting. Like we need some sort of news, and we know that we're gonna get all sorts of media buzz about it after Endgame is out for a couple weeks. Like, I can guarantee you that they are probably going to just, like, as soon as Endgame drops, it'll be exactly 2 weeks, and then they'll shove all that news in our face and be like, oh, yeah, by the way, if you like that, we're also bringing in Wolverine and Fantastic Four and Deadpool and all of them. By the way, here's who's playing them. Their movie will come out like 2022. Who knows at this point. Like I'm really excited to see where all of that goes. Sorry, I'm just looking over here in the comments real quick, just making sure I didn't miss anything that our commenter, the Scottish Spinneret, made. I don't like missing people's comments at all. I absolutely love getting the conversation going. Just looking off to the side here. All right, looks like I got everything covered so far. But anyways, yeah. If I were to see, like I said, the big crossover movie should definitely be Secret Wars. I feel like they'll do Avengers versus X-Men before that, but I don't feel that that's like the big crossover. Like the big crossover is going to be. It's probably gonna end up being Secret Wars, especially if the Russo brothers want to come back and direct it. Like I would absolutely love that. Like can you imagine? Like it was hard to imagine not that long ago, but like now we have everyone. The only person the only 3 characters we don't technically own our Namor. We do not own the Hulk, and we don't technically own Spider-Man, but as of right now, it looks like that deal is working out pretty well for us. Like, we get Spider-Man, it's just Sony also gets Spider-Man, but they're also not stepping on Marvel's toes, and I really appreciate that. Like, it's absolutely like really cool that like they're really like being nice about it. All right, hold up real quick. Just trying to figure out what's going on here. Um, Real quick, since we're in the middle of the video, I actually would, again, while we have some commenters, I love to plug these guys so much. Their page is called I Freaking Love Marvel Comics. They're a Facebook group. I usually leave their like the link to their group down in the description below. If you're like a really big Marvel fan and you actually want to jump on top of like being part of a community who genuinely loves it, I highly recommend those guys. I don't think it's in the description right now, but I should be able to get it in there after the live stream is over. We got another comment here from Scottish Spinneret who says, when Deadpool crossovers, he will be so censored, but his own stuff will be rated R. Yeah. Like, definitely. That's exactly how I would like to see it. Because like there's just something that would feel wrong if Deadpool said like fuck like right beside Spider-Man. Like, those two characters being side by side, that's not wrong. But him saying that while being next to Spider-Man, that it just wouldn't feel right. I don't know why. Because like I've always kind of had this like weird thing where it's like the character of Deadpool, I like it when characters show up in his books, but I don't like it when he shows up in other characters' books because it's almost like he doesn't quite fit in. Like, I don't know. There's just all sorts of things when that, like 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 for example, the Spider-Man Deadpool team up book. That's really good. I really like that book. But like Deadpool, like imagine if like Deadpool was in the main story of Secret Wars. Like not like in like his little like side thing that he did, like Deadpool's Secret Wars. Like, I understand that. But like if he was like a major player in that story, it just wouldn't feel right. It really wouldn't feel right. Like, just like his character sensibilities, like they could be part of a serious story, but not that sort of story. I can't even tell you exactly what kind of story it is that Deadpool doesn't belong in, but I just know it when I see it. And especially because like the Russo brothers, back when they were getting ready to release Infinity War, said that they wished they had Deadpool because they would have put him in that movie. But honest to God, Deadpool doesn't need to be in Infinity War. I'm sure a lot of people would have liked to have seen it, but can you imagine like the commercial failure of that movie if you were to like have all of this crazy stuff happening? You go here, there, and everywhere across the universe trying to follow all these characters, and then you have to take time to let Deadpool do Deadpool stuff. Like, it just wouldn't work. Like, that's why you need other characters to show up in his movies, and he doesn't necessarily need to show up in other people's movies. Yeah, because I would love to see that character. I would absolutely love it. Especially Ryan Reynolds. That, and they'll like redesign the costume and somehow make it more comic accurate than it already is. Like, they'll find some way to make it like the best thing ever. But hopefully they don't like overuse him and overplay him. Because I feel like Deadpool is kind of a character where that gets very easy to do. That's why I'm honestly kind of glad that like Marvel Comics doesn't constantly shove Deadpool down your throat anymore. Like, he's relegated to like 2 books right now, and I think I saw on a couple of covers of War of the Realms he was going to be showing up and all that. So like, I like Deadpool at a distance. I don't like him being shoved in my face all the time. So like, yeah, I don't know. I mean that's really about all that I personally would have to say about Disney kind of getting back those characters and letting Marvel Cinematic Universe play with them. I really can't wait to see what Marvel Studios does with it, and I really hope that there is at least some sort of allusion to those characters in Endgame. I get that it was like too late to like throw references at those characters in, but if you guys remember, they threw in like a Spider-Man reference like at the end of Ant-Man, and that movie, I think it was out before they announced that Spider-Man was going to be in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So who exactly knows with all of that? But anyways, I would like to thank everybody for watching. Again, be sure to leave a comment in any of the videos from the Avengers Week event that we have going on right now. There should be a playlist on the channel. Go to any of those videos and sort of comment how you think the Endgame will end, and if whoever guesses it correctly or gets it the most correct, then you will be in line to try to win a free Marvel Digital Comics code for Avengers No Road Home #1. Really great book. I can't wait to see who wins that, and I also can't wait to see Avengers Endgame. I will be going to see that 7:30 at night on Friday, and as soon as I get back, if I even have the energy, because I'm starting to think that like I'm not even going to be able to talk about it immediately after all the things I'm hearing about it. There's a hair on my hat. There we go. After all the things that I'm hearing about Endgame, I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to gust up the energy to talk about it. But I guess we will just have to see. And again, I would like to plug the page I Freaking Love Marvel Comics. They're a Facebook group, all full of wonderful, great people, all genuinely love Marvel comic books. They're all absolutely great. And if you like this video and you would like to see more videos like it, feel free to subscribe, and or just like the video, just do whatever. But I highly recommend you subscribe because I have a lot of great things coming up in the next couple of weeks, especially something to do with a book that is coming out on Free Comic Book Day. I'm going to be doing a lead up to that. Wink, wink, if you can guess what it is. But anyways, that will be all. I'm Larry Stahl from the Infinity Well. Thank you for watching, and face front, true believers. This is the end of the video.